Welcome back. It is this thing we've got going that is still nameless, but we're doing our best to keep our head above water. We move on now. Edinboro head wrestling coach Matt Hill joining us as we get ready for the NCAAs. Ryan Burgos at 149 is going to be the guy. But I first want to ask, you didn't have, of course, I'm the play-by-play guy. You didn't have the year that you wanted to have, but, Matt, you also didn't have the roster that you thought you were going to have. I'm not asking for you to make an excuse. I know you're not an excuse guy, but, we sort of joked, but it's not funny. If you didn't have bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all. Want to sort of walk us through what's it been like to try to keep the eye on the prize when it feels like at every turn a guy that's supposed to be a contributor is, for one reason or another, not a contributor due to injury or leaving the program, but the roster you thought you were going to have, you did not have to start the year?
Yeah, I think it's like one of the big mistakes I've done in my career of coaching is, never count on the exact lineup you think you're going to have heading into August or September. You just got to get everybody prepared on the team. Obviously you're going to have guys that are going to be more invested or less invested based upon their experience or success or lack of success. But it's been challenging. I don't like excuses. I can sit down with anybody and talk to them why and when, where, and how things have happened. But it's at the end of the day, you're not getting it done. So you have to stay positive and move forward and make sure you're doing the right things for the program and for the individuals that are invested and want to work out, train, and be a part of Edinboro's wrestling program. So,
well, I see what you're saying there, Matt. I've seen, though, when you came down to Clarion, it was a hard-fought match, and it was very talented kids still moving forward with it, and I was real impressed that way. They're very tough individuals, so I'm sure Burgess is in that classification too.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's challenging. You guys gotta make sure you have a sustainable lineup, guys that are academically sound, socially sound, and that they want to fight hard and do the right things on and off the mat.
Now you were in a different spot in terms of as this PSAC, old EWL, now MAC, the rise, the fall, the rise again. Obviously, unfortunately for you, Scott, Lockhaven wasn't that long ago. The Lockhaven was not very good,
right? And
Clarion not very good, and now programs on the rise, and of course Lockhaven has been the team to beat in the MAC. In terms of where you're at, and I think to John's point, where it's real easy to look at a record and say, that guy sucks, or that team sucks, or they're not any good. Yet I think when you take a bit of a deeper dive, there is a lot of reason for optimism. And I know that you and I have talked about this on and on. That's not, you at some point you just have to produce. But in terms of things being bad, the record is not good. But I also don't think it's the dire straits that somebody can just, fire up the internet and come up with a record and say, they're awful. I mean, there are some very, very important pieces that you got some really valuable experience with this year to jump into next year with.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that, it's an old saying, March matters. We could go into the NCAA tournament and have a guy placing high, and all of a sudden everything that happened that didn't go your way earlier on kind of goes to the wayside. Obviously, as a coach, I can't, I want a winning record. I want guys, achieving on and off the mat. But yeah, we got some guys that can really, develop and, make sure they're having a good summer, training hard, doing the right things. And I think we have some bright spots with Eamon Ole. Jared McGill actually is still going to the NCAA tournament. He was deemed an alternate. He was one of those guys right on the bubble. There was just a lot of other upsets in other conferences, and in most, in an average year, he'd probably be, going to NCAAs as well to compete. So Jared is, a really tough kid. So we're looking to get a lot of production out of him for the next 2 seasons. But, you have to take the bright spots. You have to sit back and understand, like, hey, we are doing the right things. We just had some bad luck. And, we had, things do happen. I have to manage things better with certain guys. But the sport of wrestling, in a sense of, with the transfer portal and the shift of the way maybe the Penn West University it's created some things where I have to get the right type of kids that want to be a part of the program and the system that we have right now.
Well, that leads me into the question I do have in general about the MAC. We're centering around the MAC here on these broadcasts as far as seeing the MAC elevate itself too. I'm seeing potentially 2 or 3 All-Americans coming out of it this year, and that will help it too, won't it?
Yeah, of course. The stronger your conference, the better. We, obviously, we are, trying to, as a head coaches in the MAC, we're always trying to boost our wrestlers within even if we're rivals or don't like each other, we still want this guy to bring a spot from Clarion, so it helps maybe my guy at the conference tournament and then the following week. So we're always wanting more spots. We want the best competition because at the end of the day, you got to wrestle the best guys at the end of the season, and we want our conference to be the best as well. So there's no hiding from that. You can't hide from how hard our sport is. If you get into the Big 10, Big 12 conferences, and you have to wrestle some of those big dogs. You have to learn. And we want our conference to be similar to that. We want our competition, that we are in February and January, hitting up our MAC conference goals to be the same and ready to rock and roll when we head to the NCAA tournament. So that's really important.
So the guy that you got that we know that will wrestle will be Ryan Burgos at 149. Quinn Kinner from Ryder. They've had some back and forth. And the jostling, if you would. He is a lot of fun, and his style I think is good for the sport. In his development, his ceiling, your thoughts. Where is he now? Obviously we talked to his dad. No, the expectation has been there, but how has he done in your mind on this path? And the reason I ask that is, yes, there's Yanni, but there's a lot of names. Austin Gomez from Wisconsin in November and December was the best wrestler in the country, maybe. Panero Johnson, I believe, if my memory serves me, he's going to get a crack at Max Murin. This is a fairly wide open weight. And, Ryan is a guy that we always talk in the broadcast is comfortable in the uncomfortable. I mean, if you talk about a dark horse that could sort of shock the world maybe Thursday afternoon out of this league, I think it might be Ryan Burgos.
Yeah, Ryan has a lot of tools. He's a lot stronger than people actually give him credit for. The kid's really strong. He's comfortable in certain positions. Depending on the style of the other wrestler, they could be in big trouble. Which is exciting wrestling for Ryan. He can do a lot of things a lot of guys in our room can't. He's one of those draws that you got to be careful. If you got a guy that that's not used to those type of positions and used to those movements, they could find themselves on their back pretty quickly. So Ryan, it does have that style. But that being said, when you have that style, you do give up position, you do give up things. So Ryan has to be aware of that and also bring in the baseline wrestling as well, matched up with his dynamic style. So that would be it's a big plus to have. It's a great tool to have as long as you can revert back to your baseline stuff and wrestle good positions as well. So we're excited for that. He's got some tools. And we're anxious to see if he can, believe in those tools heading into Thursday and Friday this week.
I don't know if my dog has a question for you, Matt. Maybe he can hear your voice. He just tried to burrow himself into John's soul. But do you have anything to say? Palmer, no? Nothing?
No. Palmer's always involved. That dude's tough. So
I think, Coach, he's hoping that the good matchup with Ryan and Murin, of course, an Iowa wrestler, but a Pennsylvania graduate of the program, so it'll be fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we looked forward to that matchup. To get on the podium, you got to beat a good guy. If you're in a position like either if you're a top seed or a low seed, it doesn't matter. You got to beat someone good. Everybody that's gone through the Edinboro program that kind of came out of nowhere is I can remember is just like yesterday. Some of my teammates knocking off the 5th or 6th seed, and they're on the podium on Saturday morning. I mean, getting on the podium Saturday morning, Friday night. So it's that's what makes wrestling cool. It's a great show. We're anxious to see Ryan have that potential, and and possibly. You don't want to have any misfortune for anybody else's wrestling season at all, but you never know. And, maybe McGill will get a shot to wrestle based upon him being the alternate heading into Thursday morning's weigh-ins. So
now in terms of style, I think the big surprise was Higley and the pin against Ryan at the MAC. Obviously, you've had time to rewatch. I mean, where did Ryan screw up? Where did Higley make the move? And then how do you make sure that doesn't happen again? Because as you alluded to, it's fun. I mean, it brings people to their feet at Macomb when he starts doing weird stuff. But obviously, you find yourself out of position with a guy like Max Murin. You're going to know how many lights are in the ceiling in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, Max is probably the more baseline wrestler in that bracket. He's going to stay in great position. He's going to hand fight hard. He's going to exhaust you. He's going to make sure you remember his. He's going to want you to wrestle his pace. So that's where some of the dynamic tools of being a high dynamic type wrestler is going to help out Ryan. But it could hurt him if he's not ready for that type of style, which we've been working on all week. But with Higley, I think he just got caught up in the moment. Higley had a great MAC tournament. He pinned Kenner and he pinned Ryan Burgos, two guys that are seated ahead of him, and two guys that Ryan did beat him by 15 points, then pinned him the last time they wrestled. So the kid had a great event, taking nothing away from him. He just had a good day. And Ryan, if he wrestles a guy like that again, just has to make sure he doesn't get in a shoestring wrestling match with someone that's also really good at it. Get more back to baseline, and then revert back to those those dynamic moves and dynamic positions.
Good point.
All right, Coach Hill. Good luck. I expect a T-shirt again.
I got your Hartley's potato chips in my truck right now, so I'm going to drop them off. Either with your down here in Macomb or at your house. So
Matt runs errands for me when he's out, across the.
That's very nice of you, Coach.
I was out in Hershey, and this guy Joe likes Hartley's potato chips, so I got him a few bags.
And he brings me shirts. And now, did you decide that are you going to take Coach James? Or are you going to leave Ernie at home for this weekend? I know he gives you problems on the road. He sends me text messages sometimes.
Oh, well, Coach, he's my guy, so he's coming. Yeah.
All right. Well, you make sure Ern behaves himself. All right.
I will, and I'll see you at baseball practice or something in a week or two. So.
All right. Hey, safe travels. Best of luck. Tell Ryan we missed him.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing him taking some medals.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Matty. Matt Hill, as Ryan Burgos at 149 gets ready. Still working along here, and I don't know, maybe we'll get my dog mic'd up. But we are going to move on. Appreciate you for joining us here. Thanks to Matt Hill, and, of course, best of luck to Edinboro and Ryan Burgos.
Thank you.